There are days when the mind feels unbearably heavy, not because life is falling apart, but because the mind refuses to be still. Nothing dramatic may be happening on the outside, yet inside, there is noise, constant, exhausting noise. Thoughts move faster than breath. Questions chase one another without answers. What if this doesn't work out? What if I disappoint someone? What if I lose everything I've built? Buddhism teaches that this inner turbulence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that the mind has forgotten how to rest in the present. Worry arises when awareness drifts away from now and gets lost in imagined futures. The suffering feels real, even when the danger is not. Worry is especially deceptive because it pretends to be useful, convinces you that if you think enough, analyze enough, prepare for every possible outcome, you will be safe. But Buddhism reveals a quiet truth. Worry does not protect you. It exhausts you. It keeps the body tense, the heart guarded, and the mind trapped in a loop of fear. Long before anything actually goes wrong, you experience pain. Your nervous system reacts as if the threat is already here. This is why worry steals your peace twice, first in thought, then in reality. And often, the second moment never even arrives. From a Buddhist perspective, most suffering is born in the mind, not in circumstances. We replay future tragedies like films that haven't been written yet. We rehearse loss, rejection, failure, and heartbreak in advance. And in doing so, we abandon the only moment we truly have. The present moment is simple, quiet, and often safe, but it is overlooked because the mind is busy fighting shadows. When you begin to notice this pattern, awareness becomes your refuge. Awareness does not fight worry. It gently observes it. And observation weakens fear. The Buddha taught that attachment lies at the root of suffering. Worry is attachment to outcomes. It is the refusal to trust life as it unfolds. You cling to control because uncertainty feels threatening. Yet the irony is this: the more you try to control life, the more anxious you become. You were never meant to carry the burden of managing everything. You cannot control how people feel, how events unfold, or how the future shapes itself. Acceptance is not resignation. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that peace comes not from shaping reality, but from meeting it fully. When you stop resisting what is, the mind softens. You begin to respond instead of react. Buddhism often compares life to a river. When you fight the current, you drown in exhaustion. When you learn to float, you discover trust. Acceptance does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering unnecessarily. It means understanding that life flows according to causes and conditions far beyond your control. And that is not a failure. That is reality. Gratitude plays a powerful role in loosening the grip of worry. When the mind fixates on what might go wrong, it forgets what is already right. Gratitude gently brings attention back to the ground beneath your feet. It reminds you that even in uncertainty, something is still holding you. Buddhism teaches that where attention goes, energy flows. If your attention is always on fear, life feels heavy. If your attention shifts to appreciation, even briefly, the heart begins to open. Gratitude is not denial. It does not ignore pain. It simply balances perception. It teaches the mind to see wholeness instead of lack. When practiced consistently, gratitude rewires emotional patterns. You begin to feel safe again, not because everything is perfect, but because you remember that enough already exists. Peace grows quietly in this remembering. Another deep source of anxiety is the desire to be liked, approved of, and understood by everyone. You begin shaping yourself around others' expectations, slowly losing touch with your own truth. Buddhism calls this attachment to identity, when the self becomes something you perform rather than something you inhabit. The need for approval creates endless worry. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I disappoint them? Do they still accept me? This is an exhausting way to live. The Buddha reminded us that praise and blame are inevitable. If you build your happiness on praise, you will suffer deeply from blame. Freedom begins when you choose inner alignment over external validation. Authenticity brings peace because it ends inner conflict. You stop betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. Some will misunderstand you, and that is not a problem. Even enlightened beings were misunderstood. Letting go of the need to be understood is not coldness. It is clarity. The body, too, carries the weight of worry. Buddhism never separates mind and body. When the mind is restless, the body tightens. When the body is stagnant, the mind becomes noisy. This is why movement is sacred in Buddhist practice. Walking meditation, mindful breathing, gentle stretching. These are not exercises. They are ways of returning home. Movement releases stored tension. It reminds the nervous system that it is safe to relax. Perfectionism is another silent cause of suffering. The belief that you must earn rest, love, or peace keeps happiness always out of reach. Buddhism does not seek perfection, it seeks presence. Life is messy by nature. Growth is uneven. Mistakes are teachers, not enemies. When you stop demanding flawlessness from yourself, compassion naturally arises. The lotus blooms from mud, not from clean water. Your imperfections are not obstacles to peace. They are part of the path. When life feels overwhelming, Buddhist wisdom gently asks you to return to one day at a time. Anxiety expands when the mind tries to hold past regrets and future fears simultaneously. The present moment cannot carry that weight. But when you narrow your focus to this breath, this step, this task, something shifts. You realize you do not need to solve your entire life today. You only need to be present for this moment. And that is always manageable. There is also deep peace in releasing the need to explain yourself endlessly. You are not responsible for how others interpret you. Their understanding is shaped by their own wounds and histories. When your intentions are sincere, let that be enough. Your life does not need justification. Inner stillness grows when you stop arguing with the world and start listening to your own heart. In the end, Buddhism teaches that happiness is not something you achieve. It is something you remember. It was never missing. It was only covered by fear, attachment, and restless thought. Worry may still knock on your door, but you do not have to let it stay. Peace is a habit, just like anxiety. What you practice becomes who you are. When you choose awareness over reaction, acceptance over resistance, gratitude over fear, and presence over perfection, life begins to soften. You do not need a new life to feel free. You only need a gentler way of seeing the life you already have. And when that shift happens quietly, without force, peace stops being something you search for and starts becoming something you live.